This is Neil Ratner Rock Doc here on WDST Radio Woodstock with another episode of This Week in Rock with support from Transcendental and my friend, the amazing dentist and rock star Bruce Milner. Visit Transcendental, his stunning new office at 2 Maverick Road on the corner of Maverick Road and Route 375. On March 11th, 1970, Crosby, Stills, Nash Young released the album Déjà Vu. Crosby, Stills, and Nash had formed in 1968 after they performed together informally at a party hosted by Mama Cass Elliot of the Mamas and the Papas. The three all came from successful bands, Crosby from the Byrds, Stills the Buffalo Springfield, and Nash the Hollies. Their first album was an immediate success and produced the hit singles Sweet Judy Blue Eyes and Marrakesh Express. However, as they relate, when it came to going on tour, they had a problem.
Stephen played most of the instruments. So when we had created this album, when we realized we're going to have to go out and play live, what do we do with the man that played all the instruments? It doesn't work.
So what did you do?
We turned to a member of his former group, Neil. And I think there was a lot of question in our minds whether or not we wanted Neil in the band. And I remember,
was there a question in his mind whether Neil Young wanted to be in the band?
Yeah, there was, but he knew what we had too. Neil's brilliant. I came to my decision point about it. I was sitting in the driveway of that same house, Joni's house on Lookout, and Neil drove by, and he saw me sitting there, and he turned around, came back down, pulled out a guitar, we sat on the trunk of the car, and he sang me, 4 of the best songs I'd ever heard in a row. And I said, oh yeah, I want this guy in the band.
Well, I'd never met Neil Young. I didn't know whether we could be friends. I didn't know whether I could tell him secrets. I didn't know whether we could hang. I had never met him. So I said to David and Stephen, look, before we make this incredible decision, I have to meet this Neil Young guy. I went to breakfast with Neil on Bleecker Street in the Village, and after that breakfast, I would have made him king of the world. He was so funny. He was so self-assured. He was so certain that what he could bring, especially his ability to play guitar in and against Stephen, would be brilliant.
Déjà Vu was the first Crosby, Stills, and Nash album that Neil Young played on, and the songs, except for Woodstock, Almost Cut My Hair, and Helpless, were recorded as individual sessions by each member. It was produced by all 4 members of the band, and the album is ranked number 220 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Albums of All Time and remains the highest-selling album of each member's career. David Crosby wrote the title track Déjà Vu. According to Crosby, I'm one of those people who thinks we go around again. The Buddhists have got it right. It's a wheel, and we get on and get off. I think life energy gets recycled. That's why I wrote Déjà Vu. The identity print is generally wiped, but occasionally a residual print remains, and some information persists. How else can I explain knowing how to sing harmonies at age 6, or knowing how to sail a boat the first time I got in one, and having a persistent delusion all my life of having been somebody else before? Okay, let's listen. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and Déjà Vu.